Hello, Bigfoot enthusiast. Scott here from Squatch America.
And Hannah, domestic goddess, chief cook, and doggy mama inside the paddy wagon tonight.
We made it, and she doesn't smell like onions.
It's true. I took a shower for all you people, so you don't have to smell my oniony pits. It was disgusting. I don't know why I had oniony pits, but it was like literally grossing me out all day. So at 4 o'clock, I hopped in the shower.
And we're not doing smell-o-vision, so there's that.
Okay, well, shall we stop talking about my oniony pits and play the intro?
Okay. I clicked it. It didn't. All right, folks, we got a really big shoe for you tonight. I said it.
Is it big enough? Is that shoe big enough to fit a Bigfoot foot?
Yeah, it is. It's huge. So, without further ado, I'm going to bring on two Squatchers.
We have two guests tonight.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy. So, twice the fun. So, I want to introduce to you tonight. You all know her. We got Nikki Cologne and just Kyle.
Fake applause. Professional outfits, I think, at least have a little button they do a fake applause for.
Here, I got it.
I got it.
Okay. Hey, before we get started, Michelle is watching from a stormy Eastern Oregon elk camp.
Oh, yay.
And Greg is calling in from Idaho. We got Janice from rainy Oregon. Raptor, I know, oniony pits do not attract Bigfoot. I don't know where that came from. I'm not a big onion eater, so, you know. We got Paul. Hey, good to see you. Sandra, Charles, and Renee.
So, howdy all in the chat. So, last weekend, we had a get together with these folks, these beautiful folks right here. And we did a town hall meeting at the Mescalero Apache Reservation in Mescalero, New Mexico. And then we went out and spent the night in the woods in the Lincoln National Forest, up above where you can't hardly breathe. And
Yeah.
and
nothing like going higher and higher to realize how out of shape you've gotten.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
It was over 9,000 feet. We were huffing and puffing, weren't we, Nikki?
I was. Yes, I was. But it's so beautiful. You can't stop. You just have to go do it.
Yeah, you do. So, so one of the things we met Kyle, and Kyle, I'm going to butcher your last name.
Say it for us, Kyle.
Meisbauer.
Meisbauer. Okay.
I before E.
Okay.
Just Kyle.
Or just Kyle's fine. So what was really cool is going out with Kyle, because was that your first time out actually kind of Bigfooting?
Yep.
Okay.
It's first date. Isn't that sweet?
Oh, it's first date. All right.
Clap for him.
It was kind of fun. And what was really cool is being able to go out with Kyle and meet him. And he asked us some questions, and I got a little clip.
I don't even have any good skills.
What do you mean?
Like nunchuck skills, bow hunting skills, computer hacking skills.
Okay, so yes.
Do you got nunchuck skills? I don't want to see those.
No, but I can, wave around what are those? A wrapping paper tube, pretty
Okay.
like a sword.
Yeah.
Speaking of nunchucks, how many of you remember, if you're of a certain age, like growing up in the 70s, and I don't know how any Gen Xers survived the 70s. That was like some seriously dangerous times. But how many of you remember clackers? the little wooden balls on string, and you clacked them
Oh,
back and forth.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Knock your-
yeah, and we just put each other's eyes out with them and knock each other in the head, and because we wouldn't play with them like they were designed to be played with. They were like, all out battle clackers. Anyway, so I'm here at the campground yesterday, and these people who are significantly older than we are at the end of a field, and they've set up some kind of game. Like we used to set up lawn darts, only they had like these things that looked like clackers, and they were hurling them through the air, trying to get them to wrap around the target. I was like, wow, those might be our people. So anyway, those were like nunchucks a little bit.
Yep, they are. They were kind of scary.
You didn't see them.
Oh, those. Oh, I didn't. I thought you were talking about the clackers.
No, I'm talking about like this bolo clacker thing that they were throwing at a target, and it was wrapping around.
Maybe they're practicing their bolo skills.
I think so. Anyway, okay. Hi, Danny from South Carolina. I remember lawn darts. Heck yeah, I remember lawn darts. I remember my brother coming after me with the lawn darts.
I just remember running. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
So 70s were pretty groovy, and Brown Dwarf. See, this is what happens here, Just Kyle. You're brand new. This is what happens. We start something. We say one amusing little thing, and the chat just goes. And so yeah, the 70s were cool and highly dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Sandlot kids, which I still haven't watched.
I know.
I think the Legend of Boggy Creek is probably the peak Bigfoot thing, though.
Was that 70s or 60s?
Well, it was 60s.
71.
71? Yeah, you're right.
Okay, that was before the 70s really got underway. We'll count that as the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, like mid 70s. Yeah, I don't know how we all made it out alive. That's just insanity,
Yeah.
No kidding.
Riding in the back of mom's station wagon with no seatbelts, just flying around.
Or in the back of dad's pickup. Just jump in the back and go,
I got whiplash in the 70s from that sort of thing. And, it's like, get up, walk it off. You're fine.
Or
Anyway.
I remember the station wagon with the big space in the back.
Yeah.
And when you turn corners, you would slide around.
That's how I got whiplash.
Yeah.
You roll.
Oh.
Yeah, Charles.
Did anyone else have... Yeah, did anyone else have like parents who would let you tie their toboggan to the back of the pickup and then they would pull you down icy roads?
Mm-hmm.
That one I never did do that one.
Oh
no.
my gosh, we
lived
begged
on
our
a
dad.
hill, so nobody had to put. We just started at the top and went flying down into the neighborhood at the very end.
Crashed into some tree would stop you at some point. Yeah.
I'm surprised we didn't go through their window pane in the front window there.
What did you say the other day? Safety
third.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. That's Squatch America's motto, safety third.
Okay. All right. So I'll stop interrupting now.
Why, thank you. So yeah, I'm looking. Everybody's talking about sledding now, and then. All right. So one of the fun things we did is in video coming Friday, by the way, for the town hall with the Mescalero Apache. We did an outdoor thing with them. It was a lot of fun. I think you counted 70
70 people at the height
at
of
the height, everybody being
the
there.
height of attendance. There were 70 people, not including the two of us.
Yeah. So that was kind of fun, and we got to talk Bigfoot with them, and we heard some great stories, absolutely quite a few. And it's kind of interesting when I do these town halls, we get a lot of the local people telling local stories, but then there's also the guys who come in, and it was kind of funny. We had one lady said, well, I was with my grandchildren when my son-in-law was stationed in Mountain Home Air Force Base, and I'm going, that's where I grew up, was on Mountain Home Air Force Base when I was born.
You didn't grow up there.
Well, I didn't grow up there, but like at 5, I think 1 to 5, somewhere out there. My dad was stationed at Air Force. I
think that definitely counts as growing up there.
Yeah, yeah. So And yeah, that's Harry Station. My dad was an ordnance guy. He's the guy who stuck the bombs on the bottom of the aircraft. So, uh,
Good
but
job.
then we met Kyle there, and Kyle, you are recently, I mean, fresh out of the Air Force, are you not?
I am. Yep, 13 years active duty, and then going to the Air National Guard here soon. So, oof, another adventure begins.
Oh, how fun! I
Some would say.
I
Others
skipped.
wouldn't.
Yeah, I skipped the National Guard part after I got out. I didn't do that, but you're on active reserve for a few years. They can call you back if they actually need to.
He almost called you back.
Yeah, I was like, my active reserve expired like a week before 9/11 happened. And I was like, oh, no, you can't get me, man.
They called you anyway.
They called me anyway. And I'm like, if you have to.
And they asked you a question. This is so funny.
Yeah, what did they?
Remember, they said, is there anything, or what did they say? Are you combat ready?
I'm like, no, I'm fat and ugly now. So that's it.
I'm not even
There's
sure
gonna be
in
a lot of
today's
basic
military
training
what
to get me back into shape.
I'm not even sure in today's military what combat ready means. So, you may
Yeah,
have
true.
qualified for that.
I may have. Yep.
Jeez.
So that was so you're here in you're in Tularosa.
Yep.
You're in the Sacramento Mountains. I keep calling it the Lincoln National Forest, which is the same thing, isn't it? Well, part of
Yeah.
it is.
Part of
It
it.
is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so we did the thing, and then we went up on the hill and camped overnight at 9,000 plus feet. I don't know how much more it was over. I forgot to look, but I know it was over 9. And behind our campsite, we set up some trail cameras, and it was just a one night thing, so it wasn't really super serious. But I got to answer a lot of Kyle's questions and play with some of my toys I have. So one of the things I always do is I always set up I have a thermal trail camera. So we set that up, and then we set up a regular trail camera further away from that. So they have to walk by the one they can't see and think they're safe up until the one they can see. And I had to climb a hill to do that. And
Are you
you made
combat
it
ready today?
Poor Nikki.
yeah.
Oh.
It didn't look that steep to me. You know,
I'm
I'm holding the camera going, and I was like halfway going, oh, hell no, I'm going to die.
Yeah, I think saying hill is probably doing it a disservice, but
Okay.
it was fairly steep, and it was a good ascent. But yeah, oof.
Yeah. So
I needed 2 poles to go up that one.
So
That was a 2-pole job.
So that's like us saying, "Oh, Mount Katahdin, that's
Oh,
a nice little hill."
Yeah. We have this thing we do on our anniversary. We always go for a hike, and
We haven't done that in a while.
yeah, but we did it for a lot of years. But we did one year. We hiked the portion of the Pacific Crest Trail on Mount Hood,
Yes,
and then
that was a total accident.
yeah,
We took the wrong turn, and instead of doing the 3-mile loop, we did the 17
the
mile
mile loop.
Oh my God.
We had no provisions with us. We had no water. We had no food. And I tell you what, by the time we got back, it's like we did not move the next day.
Yeah,
Oh
Did
my
not-
God.
It was crazy.
Not
It's like, does this ever end?
yeah. And then a couple of years ago, or it's been like 4 or 5 years ago.
It was 4 years ago.
Yeah, we decided we were in Maine and we wanted to hike Mount Katahdin, which is the end of the Appalachian Trail.
Uh-huh.
And it's a 5,000 foot peak. And you go from like, I think it's like 1,500 feet to the top of the 5,000 feet. But the people in Maine haven't figured something very
And
important
here's
out.
the thing, growing up in the Pacific Northwest, you look at a 5,000-foot mountain and go, what? That's just
okay.
dumb.
That's nothing.
Let's just do it.
Yeah.
But now you can finish.
But the people of Maine have not discovered the thing called switchbacks. The trail goes straight up the hill.
Oh my
And-
goodness.
And again, we did not move. I did not summit.
No.
It took us so long to go up those 3,500 and literally, and it was more than walking. We had to crawl over and under boulders and over fallen trees, and I mean, it was like a goat scramble.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like learning how to live like a Squatch.
Yeah, exactly.
It sucked. And by the time
Obviously, you just say it's part of research. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
I did make it, we made it above the tree line, and by this time I'm like hanging on to the edge of the mountain, and Scott saying, come over here, look at this. I said, no, I'm not looking over anything. And we get to like this little spot above the tree line, and the last bit is you had to climb up a rebar ladder up the cliff face to the next section.
Yeah, they took some rebar and just made them like little handholds and a ladder that went straight up this rock, granite cliff.
I grabbed two of them, and then at that point the wind whipped through and tried to blow the hat off my head. I said, no, I'm done. I'm done. The wind is going to come and knock me off this mountain. I'm going to die on our anniversary.
Yes.
So we have not climbed a mountain or gone on a hike on our anniversary since, but that was all on.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. We got to carry the show, Nikki.
Oh, it's all us now.
Yeah, it sure is. What?
But we loved it out there. You loved you. Oh, there they're back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, every once in a while, there's something passes in front of the satellite. We're using Starlink right now, so there's that one glitch. Probably won't happen again.
I'll carry the show.
Yeah, there you go. Go.
So, what do you want to give the audience? Any sort of primer, a little tease at what you learned at the town hall that we did on the Mescalero Apache Reservation?
I do. One, there's some interesting things that actually me and Tom Seawood from Sasquatch Island were talking about recently, is that we seem to be getting more and more reports of dumpster diving Bigfoot and urban Bigfoot. And Bigfoot coming into urban areas, and a lot more reports like that. And surprise, surprise, we actually had a couple different Bigfoot dumpster diving reports from the same apartment complex too.
Yep.
Carrizo Trails or something like that.
Yeah, that was pretty cool to hear that. You know, you always hear these stories, but it never to see that it's so close was pretty impressive for me. And Nikki and we've got that in our back pocket, and we're going to go investigate it, I think, here.
That sounds awesome. I hope you guys do. Film everything.
Yeah, I think we'll just sit in Nikki's super nice truck and have some coffee and just sit there silently watching.
It's a stakeout.
with the IR
stakeout.
goggles.
We don't have to do anything because they come down.
Yeah.
It was just too many stories or encounters, there at the town hall, one after another, and they all kept saying the same area. Yeah. And it's borders the Mescalero, reservation and the off of it kind of. But it was interesting that, I had mentioned to Scott, I wonder where the fires were in relation to this area. Yeah. And it was surrounded by fire.
Yeah.
This trail is right in the middle. So they could very well still now, have gotten, I don't know, more in that area, or either had to flee outside of that fire area.
Mhm.
So it would be interesting to see.
Yeah, if you
Um,
look at the way the fires were, there was one above it and one below it, so it was basically a
Yeah.
funneling
Funnel.
them into that area.
That's what I wanted to say.
So Charles M here in the comments is saying that it gives us a bad name and discredits real research when you're looking at a Squatch that dumpster dives. So, how many people though are up at 3 a.m. in the morning with a camera looking at a dumpster in their apartment complex? I would think for the average person, they don't A, believe in Bigfoot, and B, even if they did, wouldn't care one way or the other. So
But the big thing,
I don't really.
this is on the
agree with that
reservation.
assessment, Charles.
They know they exist. They protect
Yeah.
them, and they very rarely tell anybody anything because they live with them.
Right. So I
That's
get
it's very different on the reservation.
There's a lot of anecdotes about that phenomena and that particular activity involving Squatches, kind of across, well, honestly, across the continent, I would say. I guess all the people that we met there at the town hall were disingenuous. Do you see how that kind of sounds, Charles? I don't know if I can say that and go that far. Well, I agree with you. I think it needs a little bit of investigation. I wouldn't go so far as to say it brings discredit on to squatching. I think maybe going around the woods and banging on trees and hooting and hollering is a little bit more discreditable than that.
I think that too. The dumpster diving Bigfoot thing isn't new.
It's not.
yeah.
In fact,
I'm trying to remember the oldest one that I can remember.
Well, Tom Seawood talked about it extensively at the Forks Sasquatch Days in Forks.
Oh, that's right.
And the reason for that is, think about what we've done to every other wild species out there as humanity encroaches on their habitat and starts thinning out their food source. And this is not an apartment complex in like uptown Boise.
No, it's not.
This is out in
This isn't in a city. This is on the reservation.
Yeah,
in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere.
It's mountain. It's all mountain.
Yeah. I mean, people, we can all think what we're going to think, but even reports that we've gotten in nicer housing complexes, as we encroach on Sasquatch habitation and we're eliminating their source of food, what choice do they have?
Yeah.
I mean, dumpsters are easy pickings.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we throw away, and remember, they can eat a lot of what we can't eat, and we throw away a lot of food. We're very wasteful.
So when you go camping, don't they traditionally tell you that you need to tie your garbage up and hang it 4 to 6 feet above the ground or what have you?
Yeah.
Okay. How many reports do we have of Sasquatches raiding at a campsite? So yeah, I think maybe apartment complex was a little. That doesn't do it justice for what we're talking about. We're talking about some homes that are in the middle of nowhere.
And it's like I said, it's less of an apartment complex than like a reservation housing area.
Housing area.
Yeah,
Which definitely doesn't have the money for state-of-the-art camera system. So I don't know how many reservations you guys have gone to, but I don't want to get stuck on that one topic. One of the things.
No, me either. Well, I want to add something to that too. Tom Seawood had a report when we were in Forks of another dumpster diving Bigfoot in Forks, Washington, just the week before we left. When was that? When was Forks thing?
That was Memorial Day weekend.
Memorial Day weekend.
And that was in town.
So, yeah, and that was in a bigger, well, it's not a big town, Forks, Washington. They've got Bigfoot and vampires and werewolves, but because of Twilight.
Anyway,
nobody got it. Anyway, so
it's because no self-respecting squatcher gives a rat's ass about Twilight.
True story.
That's trash.
Yeah, but we also had
Literary
two different
trash.
stories of window peekers too.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what I was going to go to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was an elderly lady, and her recounting, there was a lot of emotion there, and it really, you could tell by the quivering in her voice. That was quite an impactful story for me, although Nikki and I could hardly hear her over the microphone. But yeah, her voice quivering, really emotional, and her description was, "Hey, I was in my bedroom at 3 a.m. sifting through some stuff on my bed, and I turn around, and lo and behold, this very strange looking face was looking back at me, and come to find out the next day, the window's 8 to 9 feet off the ground, and it really troubled her, and she refuses to go outside at night, leave her house at night, and things like that. I think they carry a little bit more weight, especially when you're talking to an elderly lady. She's not on some news network, or she's not getting famous from this. She's genuinely telling us her story to people she trusts. It's all people from the reservation, and then us couple gringos, and it was really impactful to hear that and see that emotion in her voice.
Yeah.
It's just different situation on the reservation. The dumpsters here, people lock them up. You're not allowed to dump your garbage in other people's dumpsters. That's not the way it is in the reservation. They're open. Everybody uses everybody's dumpsters.
Yep.
They even have areas where you can go and dump more garbage. And it's open, it's not like you get in trouble for dumping. Here, I can't go use anybody's dumpster because, you'd get in trouble. It's just a whole different situation over there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that being on a reservation is literally a different country.
Yeah.
You're literally not on American soil when you're on a reservation. So the rules are different. The rules are completely different. And here I have a little video that I want to throw up real quick to kind of help with this stuff. Now, we did this thing in a field right next to the store, the restaurant, the gas station, the museum, the post office. There was a parking lot right there for all this stuff on the reservation. And we were on we were on the grassy knoll, outside just outside on the parking lot. And if you look to your left, this is what we saw. See, those aren't pets.
No.
And they're not town deer or town elk. They're wild, and that was downtown Mescalero right there.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised we didn't see the horses. There's a mess of wild horses all over that area.
Yeah. It's really important that we don't project our own paradigm or our own experience of reality on others. And that's one of the hardest things as a researcher to do. It's like, just because this is my experience, and this is what the world is to me, that does not hold true to, let's say, someone halfway across the country in a completely different environment. So
the other big thing that stood out to me was a retired police officer from the Mescalero reservation, 22 years, actually beelined it and ran up to the man and shook his hand and talked to him for about 10-15 minutes afterwards. And one of the things that he had said during our time there was how over his 22 years serving the community, he said, "Hi, like, you may know me from this and what have you," but he said he solicited quite a number of calls for Sasquatch while serving, and the amount of calls he received, he compared it to any other kind of criminal activity that you would get a call for. What he was essentially saying is, nothing new. This is a very known phenomena here. I got just as many calls for Bigfoot and window peepers that were big, hairy, and ugly as I got for car accidents or, assault or what have you. And when you look at that, he's a trained observer, right? So even looking at the UAP phenomena with Lonnie Zamora in 1964, we tend in the research community, people who are trained observers tend to get more credit when they come out and they say they've experienced these types of things. And so to me, that was an incredibly credible witness. And he had his own encounter too that he shared with us, but kind of just as a whole, he was, I thought, probably one of the best witnesses we had.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Totally agree.
boy,
Yep.
for sure.
Yeah.
So
as I wanted to say, as an ethnographic interviewer, and for those of you who don't know what ethnographic interviewing is, it's a skill that you learn as a social worker, and it's how to interview people from different ethnic and different cultures. And a different culture is more than just, hey, not American or whatever. But for instance, Raptor, you come from a completely different culture than I do. And cultures can differ based on, area of a particular community. And it's so very important, especially when you're interviewing, First Nations people, that again, that we don't project our own experience of life in reality on them. And, to walk into something assuming that, they're just, to assume that there's going to be a hoax or assume that there's going to be a lie really that's very discrediting to research. That's trash research.
And go ahead and ask Cliff Berkman what he thinks of that, discrediting Indigenous people. I just blatantly, flippantly. So
yeah, I saw this post here, and I want to point something out, Charles. And I'm not going to I'm not bashing Cliff.
Cliff's our buddy.
Cliff's my friend. But
he's got his contact info. He's not lying. They know each other. It's really crazy.
Yeah,
he proved it. He did prove it. He proved it. Actually, he proved that he was on a first name basis with Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum, which I couldn't believe. I thought that was pretty wild. But sorry to derail the conversation.
Yeah, that's all right.
By the way,
not to bash Cliff, but I want to.
Cliff often lurks on our channel. So hey, Cliff.
Hi, Cliff. Yeah. So here's something that's very interesting that you may not realize. Let's look at it. You asked, what does Cliff think of this? Well, I've been working with the Native Americans for 25 years, and I have been on several reservations. I've been doing Bigfoot research with these guys for 25 years. Cliff was a fifth grade school teacher who was on a TV show for 13 years.
And who had he's a brilliant citizen scientist to begin with, and he had his own research going on.
Yep.
He's a good researcher. But indigenous people's research is not his specialty. His specialty is like zoological. He's doing biological, zoological research, looking at the evidence left
stuff
on the
he
planet.
learned on the way. I have a degree in anthropology, and I have worked for many, many years with that degree with Native American culture, and this is nothing new to the Native Americans. I mean, window peeking, dumpster diving, all this stuff is pretty normal on the res. Not just this res, any res.
Talk about how did they not misidentify them with, let's say, black and brown bears?
Well, the 8 foot looking through a window.
Yeah, I think these people know what a bear looks like. I don't want to be the one to say it and kind of laugh off the comment. I think people are kind of trolling us in the comments at this point, but I mean, that's almost kind of laughable. Holy smokes. So, it's like going back to the old, like, again, I relate it back to the UAP phenomenon. It's swamp gas. Like, what? Come on, man. Come on, man. Stop playing. So I would move on, guys.
So another thing, a common thing we got during this whole thing was the red eye shine.
Yep, absolutely.
And we happened to ask them on purpose, what color was that Bigfoot you saw? Reddish brown. They only have black bears here, by the way. So
Yeah,
there's
I was
that.
just gonna say that.
Reddish brown, which is consistent with what we have found in listening to encounter oh, geez, menopause. When we've listened to stories of people's encounters, is that the further south you go, the more likely you're to get the reddish brown and all that. Further north you go, you're getting the black, the gray, so the coloring that was being reported over and over again is more consistent with the coloring of the forests down here, which are a different color than in other parts of the country.
Exactly. And plus they've got desert out here. It's kind of interesting from Cloudcroft. When you come around the first corner out of Cloudcroft headed down to Alamogordo, you can actually see you're in a pine forest, and it's green up here. They've had a lot of rain. I mean, it looks like spring up here in September, and there's tall green grass, the forest, but you can see White Sands missile range from the top of the mountain up here in Cloudcroft on the road. You can see White Sands, and
in the space of 10 feet, it goes from pine trees to freaking sagebrush.
yeah, it does.
And
Yeah. Well, I had told you guys, and we have a mutual acquaintance, that we may or may not give credence to this particular individual. I think you know who I'm talking about. But this individual, he says with his research, he has received many reports of them actually coming out of the mountains and into the foothills and raiding. We have a very, very large pecan industry here in the Tularosa Basin. So you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, so we have a very large pecan industry here in the Tularosa Basin, as well as up at about 6,500 feet. We have what is it, Nikki? It's apple. We've got apple orchards rated about that, as well. I think strawberries as well, or cherries. One of those
wild
two.
strawberries all over the place.
And
There's a bunch of different little ones, but the main one is pecan.
yeah, it's big time pecan.
Well,
here.
the
And
world's
there's some
largest
pistachio, too.
pecan is here. We went
That's
and
I
saw
thought
it.
it was the pistachio.
Exactly.
The world's largest pistachio.
Oh, pistachio.
That, right, it's pistachio. But yeah, we also have a very large pistachio industry here, and so supposedly there's these reports of them coming out of the mountain, kind of raiding those as well.
So I have a question. What would the difference be between, let's say, us receiving a report about, hey, I was I live in the mountains of Eastern Oregon, and I got footprints, and I saw this big hairy creature going, grabbing some food from my apple orchard, which we've gotten.
That was, in fact, one of the first reports I ever got was an apple orchard report.
What's the difference between that and, hey, I saw a Squatch outside my trailer house, and he was going through the dumpster, or he was getting into the pistachio trees, or what's the difference?
Nada.
I
mean, when you're hungry.
Yep.
And hey, by the way,
Jody, here, I just want to reach back out to Charles M. Hey, Jody Coho, who and Anthony, there you go. So Jody Coho is actually our top guy on the Mescalero Apache Reservation, and has actually solicited quite a lot of reports specifically about the dumpster diving. So I'm sure if you have any more questions about the dumpster diving Sasquatch at, where is it again? Something Trail, the apartment.
Carrizo Trails.
Carrizo Trail. I'm sure Mr. Jody here would absolutely be willing to educate you on that.
Yeah. So Jody is actually, in case you didn't catch that, Jody is actually a tribal member of the Mescalero, and he's the one he's actually our contact with the reservation. So.
Yep. So anyway,
and to go back to what you were saying, Hannah, my brother-in-law actually witnessed at an apple orchard in High Rolls, which is 6,500 feet, so 2,500 feet below Cloudcroft, 2,000 feet above Alamogordo. That's at prime growing territory. He actually, that was where his encounter was. He was at an apple orchard. It was a private one. It wasn't a public one, on somebody's private property. And I don't know, 100, 150 yards away, right at the tree line, one came out and just started trucking along the tree line. So yeah, we absolutely have those reports here as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one of the first apple orchard reports I got was there was a young man who was he was down by the river by
you
the
need
orchard.
to you have a video about this.
I have a video. You can go
You're
back
gonna
and-
link it.
Okay.
You're gonna link it in the
In the show
description.
notes.
In the
Yeah.
show notes. Yes, you got to do that.
Yeah.
Down there.
So
somewhere.
So, yeah, I will link it in the show notes. But we
Don't forget.
yeah, I won't. Well, he had went down and was walking along the river, and he was walking next to this apple orchard, and this huge male Bigfoot just stepped out in front of him, and then he, in shock, started running, and the thing followed him away from the. Actually, had beat him because he had ran down the road. You can watch it in the video. I got it all mapped out. But he ended up going down the road and come around the corner, and the Bigfoot was right there. Had went ahead of him and was waiting, making sure he left. Well, then they found that there was a juvenile and a female that was in the orchard, and the big male was just chasing the guy away.
This was actually on the perimeter of a town.
Yeah, it was on
there was a bridge and an intersection, and so
well, the town isn't much of a town. It's in the Blue Mountains. It used to be there before the dam broke, and now there's not so many houses there anymore. And that was back in the 1800s.
It's enough town to be a town. I don't think there's a stoplight in the town. No,
there's not even stop
At
sign.
least we have one in Tularosa.
Yeah,
one.
There's one.
We also have a grocery store, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Was any of what we learned at the town hall surprising to Squatch America or Sasquatch Secrets? Anything that kind of jumped out to you?
I don't think there's nothing I hadn't heard before.
We know that, Scott, you're a professional. You got to stop for crying out loud. Wow. I'm trying to set you up for a layup.
Yeah, okay.
Boy, we're
No,
really
I think it was the repetitive mentioning the same place over and over and over.
And over. That's what that stood out to me. Yeah.
Here's another question for people.
Write that down.
For people wanting photographic evidence. Okay, so because this is coming up, and Charles, it's not about where he gathers food or the likelihood of it. It's like, what about the photographic evidence? Could someone speak? Maybe Jody could speak to this. So Jody, if, put something in the chat if you could answer this question. How likely is a tribal member to take a picture of a Sasquatch person?
What a great question.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. My understanding is that is like no, like totally taboo. In fact, the fact that they were even speaking to us about it is quite an honor.
Yeah, it is. In fact,
there are some like the Yakama tribe. They don't even talk about it.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of time with Mel Gahan, who is elder of the Yakama tribe, and we've done.
We've done events with
them. And
they won't even let you cast a footprint. They will erase the footprints.
Yeah, they won't let you cast a footprint on the reservation.
So we did have a tribal member who had pictures of footprints.
Which is in the video coming up Friday.
Yes, watch Friday's video. Yes, he did get a picture of the footprint. But how likely is a tribal member going to actually be taking a picture of a Sasquatch person? Because I believe in most tribes that would be totally out of line.
Yeah, and I have another thing about photos, and just it's my little pet peeve, I guess, is here. There's a picture of two Bigfoot.
Does anybody believe you?
Do you believe me? I took that picture myself. So whether I saw those with my own eyes, and I can tell you I saw those with my own eyes, and I can tell you I had 3 seconds to take that picture, it's up to you to believe me or not. So,
and to me, guys, that's why I'm not even interested in taking pictures. I got to be honest with you. So for the last couple of days since I was on Nikki's show, I've been thinking about how we're going to stake out the dumpster diving Squatch.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, why in the hell am I going to take a picture of this? Because ain't nobody going to believe that no dang Sasquatch is dumpster diving on a reservation in the middle of New Mexico. No one's going to believe that. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And Paul, hey, I just saw a comment from Mr. Paul Lugo. La Luz near Mescalero is
Okay.
another Squatch area. That is what I'm
Yes.
talking about with the pecan orchard. So, Mr. Paul Lugo, reach out to Nikki or I after the show, and we'd love to hear more about what you had to say.
Yes, and Paul is the one that we went out with 2 weekends ago. And
Yeah.
if you missed that video, by the way, Paul,
Paul's the guy who got the video of the elk, Nikki.
yes,
When he was filming the elk and they had that one run by at the top of the elk.
Oh, that was Paul?
That was Paul.
Okay, and then you did the video with him that you posted a few days ago.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Paul, you're my guy. We're gonna meet up.
Okay,
sometime.
Paul lives in Artesia.
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 Yes.
Okay. So he's
All
part
right.
of Squatch America, Sacramento Mountain.
We're
Yes,
getting
you
a-
are.
We're getting a whole battalion here.
We got a
That's
battalion
right.
here. We're ready to go.
We're gonna find that Sam Squatch.
Yeah, that damn Sasquatch. Pyro says, I like this. If the tribe in Oklahoma would release their casino footage of the Bigfoot getting into the grease container, I hear there's no question it's real.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've heard that as well. I've heard that as
Oh,
well.
yeah, and by the way, where that apartment,
Apartment, that housing area.
that housing
It's
area.
housing.
Let's say
we need
housing
to-
area.
We need
Okay,
to get
so
apartment
yeah,
complex.
I keep
off the
saying
table.
apartment complex. How about a 3-story house that has 3 houses in it? Kind of basically. That's that place.
Townhomes.
Townhomes. Yeah, it's probably
And
5 or 6 miles down the road from that is the casino from the
Yeah.
Mescalero Casino.
So, anyway, so
Oh man,
we've got a lot of new people on,
yeah.
and we need to
Hello,
do
new
something.
people. My name's just Kyle for some reason.
Yeah.
That's
We're
the
gonna
only
take it-
credit I got for
Yeah.
this video. So
We're gonna take a quick station identification or something. So,
Yeah, we got to talk about our sponsor thing. Okay.
do we have a
Okay.
sponsor?
You are watching Squatch America.
So, folks,
We
I
are
just
sponsored by Squatch America. Thank you.
yeah.
Portion of the video.
Yeah. So no,
Means it came out of my pocket.
we want to talk about if you join us if you become a paid member on YouTube or join us on our Patreon or send us to buy me a coffee. Just remember that all our proceeds go to a group called
Supporting the Fallen
the
Outdoors.
Fallen Outdoors. That's a group who takes veterans out hunting and fishing and camping and Bigfooting, because we have our own Bigfoot logo with the Fallen Outdoors.
And if you are a veteran listening in Texas, we are coming for you.
And
'Cause we are on our way to Texas next week.
yeah, so we're going to be scheduling some outings with veterans only. So it's good for vets to get together to cut down on that 22 a day.
All right.
In
So,
case you didn't know, 22 veterans take their life every day.
so, I mean,
There we go. That's done. Okay.
I appreciate that, Mr. Paul Lugo. Sincerely, I'm not kidding. I'm hired on here to be the comedian, but I am serious.
no, that's
Reach
my
out.
job.
You reach out to Nikki and I, and I'd love to meet you.
Yeah, that's great to get you guys together. Yeah, because one thing, Kyle, I want to tell you one thing. That's one thing I noticed right off the bat when
Oh boy, should we save this for the after show? Where
when I first got up and started talking at the town hall and you were there and then you kept asking questions and then making comments. Dude, you've done a lot of Bigfoot research from your chair at the Chair Force, and
only you can make that joke.
yeah, okay. But no, really, you have a lot of history, and which is very important, by the way, to because you don't know how many times I get sent the same photo. Nikki probably gets it too. get sent the same photo, and it's this Bigfoot's been seen all over the world now, and it's the same photo, you know.
And once it was your photo.
Yeah, one time I got my own photo sent to
There
me.
you go.
So yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Hike with
So-
Mike says East Texas has Squatch sightings. Why, yes, they do. In fact, we will be, our next gig is
October 15th, we will be at the
East Texas
East Texas Bigfoot Festival in Jefferson, Texas.
which is East Texas, I believe.
Can't get much more east. You go east of Jefferson, you're in Louisiana. Okay.
So overall, I would think that was a pretty cool, pretty well done first town hall. And yeah,
I
Mr.
was shocked.
Mr.
I
Jody really pulled through. That was
Yep.
awesome. Thank you so much.
I'll be really frank. I was not expecting much.
Yeah, especially on the reservation. I was expecting probably 10, 20 people at the
I was
most.
expecting like 3.
Yeah. And and surprisingly enough, we had posted it on the Mescalero Facebook page, and I got so many comments on that post on, you know, saying, hey, I can't make it. Will you please record it? I want to see it, you know? So we got a bunch of posts like that from other tribal members, which, by the way, it's posted there. So,
Yeah.
So for the people listening, Scott, how did you establish that relationship? Because that might be something that other people in the chat and listening may very well be interested in, is establishing that relationship between a Bigfoot researcher and making that connection to a tribe. Because for all intents and purposes, I think that's pretty hard to just kind of go out and do.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple little advantages because I've worked with tribes all over, and I've got a lot of tribal.
Number one, everybody.
What's that?
I said the truck is number one.
yeah. And so, you know, I actually have from other tribes that I can pull from and say, when I introduce myself to a new tribal member, I say, hey, I've done this and blah, blah, blah. And if you want to check me out, you can call this elder at this tribe and he'll tell you all about me, you know, and stuff like that. That's one thing. We tried a year ago, actually. We had talked to some of the tribal members here when we were here last year. And that kind of got the ball rolling a little bit. That we were here, we went and hung out at the store for a day, and talked to a few people who stopped in and saw the truck. That's, you know,
See?
yeah, yeah, and so we did that. But and then I think I had met Jody the year before too. And that gave them like a year to check me out and find out, you know, what we're doing and stuff.
It's all about having to suss out someone's intention.
Right.
And, you know, we are not out to exploit anything. We really, part of our grand devious scheme, though, is to really get a solid understanding of nationwide the indigenous stories, because they tell the story. And I think once we've encountered a shyster of a Native American, but we got warned off real quick. But I find that there is a sense of honor with the natives that honestly, you know.
Yeah, and
I don't want to diss anyone, but that degree of integrity is like, we would rather say nothing than to risk the sanctity of our people's history with this other people.
Right. So one of the things, you know, and after I talked with Jody this year, we met again at an event, and I suggested that we would like to do this, and then Jody got the ball rolling. We had to write a letter to the tribal council and explain our intentions. So we did that, and they said it was okay, and they assigned us Jody as our guide. So if we go back on the reservation, we have to take him with us. So, which is awesome.
It is an amazing honor. I mean,
Yeah.
I am just thrilled that this store is now open. We probably won't be taking that opportunity this time around, but this is exciting because it gives us reason to come back to this area.
Mhm. And we got you guys here to be our proxy now.
So what can we have us? What's the balance? All right, so there's a balance between anecdotes, and this is hi Cliff, if you're listening. This is the biggest difference between, I would say, like there are researchers like Cliff who are all about the physical evidence, and they're out there and they're collecting the hair and the prints and the blah blah blah. And then there are researchers more like us who are listening to anecdotes and encounter stories and all that. And they're both valuable.
Yeah.
They're both valuable. One of the reasons why pictures aren't valuable is like, hello, Photoshop started it all.
AI.
And well, AI sucks, but you know, it's not. I can spot AI, but
it's
Photoshop,
getting better.
It's getting better, but Photoshop, you can hardly ever tell when something's been photoshopped anymore. But what's the balance between anecdotal evidence and physical evidence and photograph? You know, how do you balance all of that? Because a genuine relationship between those three things is more likely to establish credibility. When you've got a story and you've got a photo and you've got some kind of photo evidence or physical evidence all from that one encounter, I mean, that would be huge. That's very rare.
Mm-hmm.
But what, I mean, is it that we discount photo evidence and physical evidence, and we don't put one form of evidence above another?
No.
So can you elucidate? Elucidate.
Well, for me, right, like Scott had mentioned, I like Charles putting me in air quotes researcher. That's probably fair. I very much look at historical accounts, and I think once you have a tremendous amount of historical anecdotes that are going back centuries, then you couple that with First Nations stories, then you couple it with modern physical evidence. I think that's how you kind of draw a bigger picture. I don't think, I mean, for instance, right, I think we can all agree that the Patterson Gimlin footage is probably the best it's not really physical evidence, it'd be more photographic evidence that there is. Okay, that was filmed in what, 67?
7, yeah.
Yep. And what are we, almost 70 years from that? And we still, as a community, can't agree that that's real.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So, and the likelihood of anything like that being duplicated is so slim to none.
Correct. So when I say I will take a picture of Bigfoot, and I actually, one of my questions at the campfire to Scott that he alluded to me asking many questions is, hey, you're a big time pro at this. Just like Cliff Barrickman says, do you have a bunch of people that have photographic evidence that's really compelling, but they keep it close to the vest instead of putting it out there? What was your answer, Scott?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Someone just here
So
said,
why are they not putting it out there? Because no matter how good it is, it doesn't matter. It's probably not as good as the Patterson Gimlin footage. So what are we even doing here? Like, I'm not going to convince you. And I'm seeing Raptor Crazy in the comments. And for me, I think that's probably a good approach. You know, be open-minded, let people believe what they're going to believe, and you have your own set of beliefs. I think the balance, like Hannah's describing, between anecdotal and physical evidence, I think you need both. Look at the Bigfoot mapping project. Look at all the countless researchers that submitted hair samples, including Peter Byrne. And what happened? Nothing. So I honestly, you know, physical evidence. Yeah, go for it.
You know what? Each one of us is on our own journey. Okay.
Absolutely.
We're all here for our own reasons. Some are pure research. Some are just to get answers for themselves.
Yep.
Some share, some don't, and it's all okay. All of that.
Yeah.
It to me, it doesn't matter if I believe in the PNG film or not. We're in the same place right now.
Yeah.
If I
Mhm.
believed in it, we're here. If I don't believe in it, we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that word, but this is a pet peeve that the two of us has, that word believe.
Mhm.
Believe is the word belief itself has absolutely no connection with 3D factual reality. Belief is an interpretation of your experience.
Correct.
I've been through this, that, the other thing, blah, blah. This has been my life. Therefore, this is how I interpret all that. Does that mean that your interpretation applies to all people in all times, in all places? No. It's like, and that's why we say we leave belief to religion.
Yeah.
And that's a whole other story. We're not going down that rabbit hole.
No.
It's
No,
like,
I was briefed not to talk about religion or politics.
oh,
Yeah.
Those
let's
are the
talk.
rules of
Come on,
YouTube.
you bring that on, baby. We'll talk politics. No,
No.
I'll talk politics before I'll talk religion,
Yeah.
actually, because but it's like, okay, so question: does it make sense to me that humans are the product of Bigfoot and alien hybridization? Absolutely. Is he going to go down that rabbit hole with me?
Absolutely not.
Does that mean we cannot share in this quest?
No.
Absolutely not. Because obviously we do it. And just because he's wrong doesn't mean I don't love him any less.
So exactly what you're describing, Hannah, goes back to like John Green and Renee DeHinden, right? And Cliff Barrickman talks about this all the time. If you're a Cliff Barrickman follower, is that this community divides itself.
Yeah.
This is my second live stream. Maybe I'll have many more, but just in the chat, we have all these different people with different opinions, and that's great.
Great.
But to go out and kind of try to discredit one another, I don't believe that's going to help push the research of this phenomenon
That's
forward.
right.
So we gotta be able to respect differences, right?
Mhm.
And go after our common goal, right? Everybody wants this little guy to be found, but nobody
Hey,
quite knows what
You've
it is.
just been waiting for an opportunity to show.
Same
Hey,
one.
Scott,
Show
where's yours?
I don't own that one.
Show him that one though. That one. This one.
This one.
You see, you've got them all attached.
We live in a camper, so it's glued down.
Pine Island Research. Can you pin their comment right there?
That's brilliant. Yes.
Yep.
Don't
There you
research
go.
to convince the masses. Research to attempt to assemble data that you feel is undeniable. You're not responsible for others' inability to compute the data. Very true. I
Mhm.
mean, and none of us are responsible. We are only responsible for what we do and what we put out there. We are never responsible, and this goes anywhere in life. We are never responsible for someone else's response to anything.
Mhm.
That's all. That's how we all pull up our grown-up pants.
Did you see Anthony said, can me and Adeline join the video? So they were our two youngsters out there. So if we can make that happen, and then we can get to talking about our high strangeness.
Hey, so do we want to go into like an extra inning here?
Are you guys good?
Are you
Can
guys good with going
Yeah.
longer?
Okay, sure. Yeah, let's do it. I want Anthony on here because my wife said, well, Anthony and I'll discuss it once he gets in the call.
Where's the?
See, I'm a showman, Nikki.
Okay,
Okay.
copy and paste, babe.
But that'll allow.
Okay, this is just for Anthony.
Okay. Hold on, Anthony.
Because we
I
have.
Sure,
can
what-
send it to him privately. I can send
Can
it
you?
to him
Okay.
privately.
I was gonna say
Wait,
because we always have a
Oh.
lineup of people wanting to get in the
Do
studio.
you have the link?
hold on.
I can send it. I can send you the link in the private chat.
We're a professional outfit here, guys. Just bear
Oh
with
my
us.
gosh. Yeah. But watch us put on a show. Hey, get ready to come into the studio with us. Here's a link, and crickets.
Yeah. So no. So I just sent you. Oh, if you got the link on your phone, that's fine.
There it is. Okay. Let's see
And
if
here's
there's
another
more.
thought for Raptor. So, there was a little boy who cried wolf. You know that story? The village puts this little boy on wolf patrol, and he's so bored that hey, there's a wolf, and then the whole
And
town goes crazy. And then he does this so many times when there was really no wolf that the one time he got serious, there really is a wolf, they didn't listen to him and they all died. So just because there's some sketchy, unverifiable, unbelievable stories of dumpster diving doesn't mean that every dumpster diving encounter report is false.
Well, look at Ron Moorhead, and I think we can all agree, hopefully, that the Sierra Sounds are pretty legit, right? And now look at where Ron Moorhead's at, writing about quantum Bigfoot, right? So you can change your opinions over time, and that's okay.
Hey,
That's
I'm all
okay.
about quantum Bigfoot, so
I know you are, Han. I'm right there with you on the crazy, crazy stuff.
I know.
So and another thing too, one of the things that's been over and over in the chat, they said, well, we heard this story in the 90s and people keep repeating it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the point of the research I'm doing in collecting stories from all over the United States. I'm looking for repetitive things that people see Bigfoot do. That's how I'm going to figure out their culture. So
Yeah.
there's certain things in Bigfoot stories when people were telling me their encounters that I look for. I'm looking for certain tells, that are in these stories that resemble other tells from other places. So
Yeah, define quantum. I probably will get it wrong, but anyway. I'm a physics dropout.
I'm not knocking it, Grasshopper. I'm saying more than one theory can exist at a time. That's my point. We can all kind of think of the phenomena differently, because I think in the end most of us can agree it's probably real, and that's okay. And we're going to have Anthony join us in the chat, and then we can probably talk about high strangeness in the Sacramento Mountains.
Yeah.
I love that phrase.
Anyway, one of the things that
Anthony, I sent you the link.
Yeah,
I sent the link to the group with Adeline. Check.
Okay. All right. So one of the things that I always say that's very interesting, if you see a UFO and it lands in the forest and a deer walks out of the forest, you do not equate the deer with the UFO. If you see a UFO land and the Bigfoot walks out of the forest, people always equate the Bigfoot with the UFO.
Yeah.
But what if it's not? But it could be. What if the deer are the aliens that walked off? So
what if Bigfoot doesn't want to be probed?
Exactly.
But I think, Scott, during the town hall, we definitely talked about what the actual aliens on Earth are, and it's octopi.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, explain octopi.
Yeah.
I love them.
Wild.
I think they're awesome. I wanted a pet octopus as a teenager, and my parents were not down with that idea. I found out that if you rub their bellies and they turn brown, they're really happy. It's like, I want an octopus to turn brown when I rub its belly.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, octopus with no friends. I see you in the chat doing battle octopus.
Yeah.
Cool with me, man.
Yep.
Oh, and then the tree octopus. That was what Nikki was telling me all about.
Tree octopus are real.
That's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought it was a really cool experience. And it was a whirlwind.
They caught a tree octopus on video.
Yeah. Well,
I love watching.
Oh, okay.
I love watching them get out of like their containers and going and, like messing everything up in a lab or something. And they remind me of mice. If you've got a centimeter, they'll get through it.
Is it hive psi? There's the reason we're talking about octopus is because when they discovered DNA, they started doing DNA tests on all the animals and all the trees and all the grass and the plants and stuff like that.
Send that to me.
So everything That's a tree octopus.
Whoa.
So anyway,
That is the
so
that is
they-
crazy shit.
so everything on the planet has a
Creepy.
code. Yeah.
I am gonna have nightmares tonight.
Yeah.
You're getting all serious about
That-
stuff.
I
here.
know.
That
I'm trying
actually
to
might
I'm trying
be
to answer a
Cthulhu,
question.
Actually,
So everything on the planet has a code that says you're from Earth that matches. So you've got this code. Trees got the code.
There's
o-
Earth DNA
there's
and
Earth
there's
DNA.
non-Earth DNA.
Yeah,
and
and
octopus has
octopus.
non-Earth DNA.
Only thing
doesn't
on the
match-
planet
it
that
doesn't
doesn't
match
have that
anything else.
code.
All right, they're on. Are you gonna let them in?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna let him in.
oh, here it is.
Hi guys.
There's my guy. There's my
It's like
guy.
a mess. It's like-
That's right.
Oh,
He's
there's
sporting
my
the shirt.
t-shirt. My t-shirt's over there.
Oh, I didn't put mine on.
Good
Um,
to see you guys.
Well,
Good to
good
see you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
We're
so in
honored.
case people, Scott, how did you want to go into our adventures, or are you going to save that for your Friday video?
Friday
We're done.
video's done.
We're down to go any rabbit hole y'all want to. 'Cause we got-
Okay.
I got
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of questions. a lot of-
Alien Bigfoot hybridization. That's my rabbit hole.
No.
That is not the rabbit hole I'm going down tonight.
Right.
Bigfoot hole, Bigfoot print, whatever you want to call it. You know? But yeah,
So I don't know. While we have Ant and Addie here, why don't we get their take on how the Bigfoot town hall went and Adeline's experience growing
Okay.
up? on the
Yeah, why don't
reservation?
we do that? Yeah, that's coming in a video. It'll be a couple Fridays from now until that one drops because
Oh,
I'm always working ahead. But we can hear it here too. That's awesome. I just want to introduce them, Anthony and Addie or Adeline.
Adeline. He typed it in, so he put Addie. Everyone,
Or Addie.
because they're friends now, you guys can call me Addie.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Addie's Mescalero Apache, correct? You
She
work
was there on
you work
Saturday.
for the tribal center, don't you?
Yes, I do. I work for the tribal government.
there's a reservation right behind us.
Yeah.
I'm the project manager. So yeah, that's what I do. I'm a tribal member. My family, we're all Mescalero Apache. So, and I also have a Nez person me in as well. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, we talked about that on camping. So that's awesome. So yeah, let's talk about your experience because we've had a lot of problems with dumpster divers today, and I know your story. So could you throw that at them?
I thought, okay, so the overall experience, honestly,
About the dumpster.
the dumpster story.
The garbage story, yeah.
yeah. So
Okay.
we've got some people in the chat who don't believe that we've got a dumpster diving Squatch on the loose. So if you
On
could
the res.
enlighten them.
Yeah, no, actually, so when I was a teenager, about like 14 or 15, something like that, I live in the forest. Keep that in mind. Like, I live on the reservation. This was not this current place that I'm at right now, but it was at my childhood home with my mom. And there was like I said, nothing but forest behind us. And I just had the duty of always taking trash. Me and my siblings, we took turns. So when I decided to go, and honestly, I'm never really scared. Like, I'm a pretty brave person for the most part. Like, I do have my fears, don't get me wrong, but I never worried about like seeing anything because I'm like pretty familiar with all of the nature that surrounded me. Like, you know, the horses, elk, deer, the smells, the sounds, all of that stuff. So I never was really scared of that. But yeah, I was going to drop the trash off one day, and the dumpsters are like literally 2 houses from us. There was only 1 house between us. So when I was going, it was pretty dark. Like, it was barely getting up like this. It was literally just like this. Like, the setting that I'm in now, it's literally just like this. So when I was
I see
walking,
one in the back.
when I was walking, as I was getting closer to the dumpster location, all I hear is this really scary scream, like just up the canyon, because there's like if you keep driving, you could drive up the canyon that's by the trash can. So you just hear that scream like echoing down, and I freaked out. I still had the trash in my hand, and I ran to the dumpster. I threw it.
I'm just sorry to interrupt.
No,
Go ahead,
no.
go ahead. We should drive there. We can almost just drive there right
Yeah.
now. It's just like, just down the road.
This is really bad, but that's one thing about a rural area is the service is kind of bad. So, but anyway, yeah. So that was my experience. I'm pretty familiar with like mountain lion screams and stuff. And then also too, a point that I had made was the smell. Like the smell was just different. Like it smelled like something dead. And obviously, it's a trash. It's a trash location, so that's like inevitable, right? But it was just really a distinct smell. It smelled like I said, like death. So I don't know. I was pretty scared. I was like, I threw the trash and I ran back home. Like, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was my experience. So, and like I said, I've heard other stories and you hear crazy stuff all the time, but I feel like you can always call out those yells or screams or things that sound like different. You're like, I never heard that before. Like that sounds crazy, So yeah.
And like when we were at that event, that lady told the story about Carrizo Trail dumpsters. Where's that one at? Is that the same one?
Carrizo Trails is right by Pena. Literally, so this is Pena and then this is Carrizo Trails. So these are like neighborhoods that are close by, but they're like scattered and considered their own neighborhood.
How far away are they?
It's like a 5-minute drive from that location, the Pena dumpsters, to the Carrizo Trails dumpster, like 5 to 8 minutes. Not even that far. So,
because I've been like mapping out in my head the like dumpster locations around the res out here, and like because they're scattered all around, and it's honestly like a good hot spot. I feel like just because that lady told the story, she's got her story. Not just there's all types of animals, not that'll be attracted to there. So that might be what attracts Bigfoot or whatever. So
yeah.
I've been paying attention to it, like the landscape out here. It's like Mescalero Apache Reservation is like a perfect place for like a Bigfoot to go and notice. Yeah, nobody sees a mountain lion ever, but they're out here for sure. Or like even bears and stuff. Mountain lion's like a ghost. I don't know anyone that's even seen one out here. It's the same thing. So there's so much to go unnoticed.
Yeah, what did they say the reservation? I forgot. It was like 250,000 acres, something like that.
It's 719 square miles, which is like 750,000 acres, something like that. I don't know, but it's 719 square miles.
It's 719 square miles, and it's mostly all of it's above 6,000-7,000 feet. It's up there,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's all pine forest.
It's 463,000 acres.
We're not talking about the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex.
Yeah.
It is 463,000 acres.
Yeah. And the population isn't that great. I mean, there's not a lot
like
of
5,000. So in the tribe alone, our census is about 5,500. But that also includes people who don't live on the reservation. So I would say like maybe 3/4 actually live on the reservation, but we do have a lot of tribal members that are scattered all around the country, so that are from Mescalero.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you do the math on that, that's like, I don't know, one person every, I don't know, that's not much.
That is like exactly how we want to live.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah, and just for reference, so the Mescalero Apache Reservation is located within, I think it's still considered Lincoln National Forest, even though it goes from U.S. Forest Service to the reservation. So it all kind of
it's Otero. Yeah.
Oh, go for it.
It's Otero County.
Is it not considered part of the Lincoln National Forest?
No, it's Otero. Yeah,
but it's connected to it, though.
Yeah, it's connected. Yeah, some of our experts are. Yeah, so I guess we could kind of say.
And the population is 3,969 as of 2022.
Okay.
As of a year ago, so less than 4,000 people out here.
My point being is that it's one contiguous piece of forest, and there are some very remote spots of that, man. Like Scott, I forgot to ask you about this when we were together, but like Tiburon, Mayhill, Weed, like there is nothing out there. That is so wilderness.
It is.
Tell us about it.
Yeah. So, I was going to say we were camping
We're in Mayhill.
Yeah, we're in camping kind of in the Mayhill area, and like when we had to drive to the reservation, we drove through the forest, and it took us an hour and a half to get from Mayhill around the mountain to the Mescalero itself. So, and it was all forest.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, that's Highway 244. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely a forest. Even
Yeah.
through Cloudcroft, like once you get out of that small little town, you just hit nothing but forest. So
Yeah.
it's really easy to get like it's really cool, like as a person who appreciates nature, but sometimes when you think about it a little darker, you're like, I just wonder like the things that are hanging out around.
There's
Yeah.
literally so much. Do you guys and like the app Onyx that shows like maps of property?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you can get an idea of what's more charted land out there because you see who owns it and you kind of get like ideas of that. But the whole mountain range surrounding Sierra Blanca, the Sacramento to Capitan, is so much like vastness. Like the road barely goes in between most of it because it's just wide. It does a wide kind of like that. Towards
Mhm.
Roswell and up towards and all that.
Hey, I wanna welcome in Joaquin, another tribal member. Great to have you in.
You know him?
So
The name sounds familiar, Joaquin. But is Jody watching too?
Yeah, Jody's in here.
Jody's here, and
Cool.
Joaquin said he didn't make our visit to the reservation. Man, you missed a party. Yeah, but he's got some stories. And thank you for subscribing, guys. If you smash like, subscribe, do all the things.
Oh, she did it. She did the thing.
What did I do?
You do the thing I always forget. The little promo.
Yeah.
Smash the like button.
Step on that like.
Yes. And actually, hey, put up our email.
Okay.
You can contact us. You can go to Squatch America. You're going to take you forever to find the right buttons. I know. You can go to, you can email us, squatchamerica@gmail.com, or you can go to squatchamerica.com and use our reporting form, and you can contact us that way. There you go. See, hey.
You're hired.
He's part of the Sacramento Mountain branch. He's under me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
We've got a whole freaking chapter here now.
Yeah, we do.
We're gonna stay connected, and it's gonna grow because there needs to be representation for these mountains because they have no representation, like, hardly at all.
You know, that is so true. When people talk about Bigfoot in the Bigfoot world, New Mexico isn't a word anybody ever uses. You know,
most people don't know it's actually a state, Scott.
Yeah, I know.
Anyone who's from New Mexico, and they will have many stories to tell you.
Well, they think Arizona and New Mexico are nothing but desert. You know?
Right.
And it's true. People, when I told people that we were going to New Mexico, they said, "Oh, how cool! How long did it take to get your passports?" No, not Mexico, New Mexico. Oh, that's a
not
place.
old Mexico.
Yeah.
That's
anyway.
Yeah, like my dad's from New York, and his friends back over there think that Arizona is like the Sahara Desert, like sand. They don't know about cactus.
So we have a question that just popped up from Kaiju Ninja for Aunt Natty.
Let's see. Kaiju Ninja? What's the question?
I just popped it up.
Oh.
Don't mind Aunt. He's just a boomer.
Oh,
Natty experienced anything on the reservation. Hi, Kaiju Ninja. So actually, we just got finished talking about it, but we're sitting with the reservation right behind us, like pure forest. So
like I could call Elk right now. Y'all hear him?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could.
Oh, we know, Aunt.
Oh, we know you can.
We actually just got finished talking.
I dropped that video today.
Yeah.
I watched it. I was trying to find it.
But yeah,
There was one right there.
Oh yeah.
There was one right there.
So Kaiju, we just finished talking about it, and I think Scott's gonna be posting a video Friday that talks about my experience, Anthony's experience, and just like other people who, So stay tuned, and I'm gonna save it for that. Maybe you can rewind the video.
I'm gonna let mine go. I can't hold it back. So there was an encounter for me on this reservation when I was younger, and it's still spooky, and it's still in my head. It's always gonna be a big rock flew over a car where I was looking out the side where the rock flew into. So I see a big rock roll, unexplainably sized. There's no hill that it could catch momentum to roll down and bounce. You know, that's a likely thing for people to think. Even myself, to tell myself like, I could have caught momentum somewhere way back, but no, it wasn't like. And it's snow. How do you catch? Like, I guess things could fall from snow, but it's not. It's mostly common. I mean, there's an elk right there.
You guys hear that?
Yeah.
So basically, I had the big rock experience, and that was real. I mean, that's not no joke. I wish I could have got it on video, but all it is a rock flying.
Yeah.
But how do you explain a rock flying like that's that big that a man could not build, even like a catapult? Who's gonna have a catapult? Like that's
A
mine.
ghost,
That's mine. A ghost, whatever.
obviously. Oh, here's another question.
Yeah.
Question: the dumpsters on the reservation, are they all in one area, or are they spread out through the reservation?
They're
And
spread
if
out.
so, is there? Oh, there it is. Are there lights to get to see the dumpster at night?
Man, I wish we could
There's
drive
no
there right
lights. There's no lights. So
There's
that like sometimes we're lucky because we live in a neighborhood that's like somewhat lit, but by the dumpsters here there's lighting. But where I was at in Pena, no lighting. No lighting. So you're just dealing with
most
you're
have no lights at all.
you're just being really brave.
There's one that has lights, and it's the one that's closest to the highway, like right off the highway almost. So
Even the lights that they do have are like those orange type lights that are
spooky
like
lights.
spooky. So it's like barely like there. Like I don't know.
So it's like when you're a kid and you turn the light on in your room and you sprint across the room and so the demon doesn't get you.
Oh my gosh, I used to do that.
You throw your trash in the dumpster and you head back so
and
that
then you
the
freaking
demon
book
doesn't
it
get
back
you.
to your car.
That's right.
For real, I felt that. That's exactly how I felt whenever I heard that scream by the dumpster. I launched that damn trash bag and I booked back to my house, and I was so scared. I told my mom, and my mom was like, calm down, calm down. Like, I don't think she really believed, like, she was kind of like, but then she started comforting me and just told me, like, to be careful and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You know what?
hey,
I'm gonna video for y'all right now, but sorry.
I wanted to welcome everyone that's coming in from Nikki Sasquatch Secrets crew. Just for clarification, you have stumbled into an evening in the paddy wagon with Squatch America, and Nikki and Just Kyle are our guests. So if you have not gone to Sasquatch, or I don't even know where we are. If you have not yet gone to squatchamerica.com and signed up for our newsletter, I put out a newsletter once a week that tells you about the upcoming show. And because of my weird ass work schedule, those are usually going out early on Wednesday mornings. But we always have a show Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and everything in between. So, but look for more emails soon. I'm working on some email stuff that should be pretty fun. Anyway, we really want to develop better relationships in our whole Squatch America crew. So,
yeah.
So anyway,
Sacramento Mountain Branch.
Hey, there we go.
I'm loving it.
Anthony, I wanted to ask you a quick question because I
Okay.
was going to text you. In the middle of the night, did you let your dogs out and whistle for them to come back?
Not at all.
You
I
didn't
didn't like.
whistle?
I wasn't even playing
Like,
that game.
they don't need to even go out. They're trained to
They-
not have to go out.
They were laying right by us the whole time.
Even if
It's like hiding
In your tent.
they had the only thing that I could the only thing would be like shut up. Would be telling them to shut up. It wouldn't be to take them out. No, I didn't whistle though. I don't remember whistling.
But you wouldn't have been able to hear
No,
that.
I was out like a freaking like that whole night.
Oh, about 2:20 in the morning or 2 or 3:20. I think I got my clock wrong. There was like a whistle or something that happened, and I swore it was you whistling for your dog to come in.
I mean, I always do a distinct whistle too for my dogs. It's kind of like so it's always like that. If it's like not like that, it's unlikely.
No, it wasn't like that. It was
So-
just the loud.
dog language.
So Joaquin McCurdy here, again a tribal member, he put in the comments, never whistle at night. It's funny that we're kind of broached the subject of whistling. That was one of the strange events that took place. We're sitting around the campfire, right, that night, not out there banging sticks, clacking rocks, and hooting and hollering at the moon. And right up on the ridge line, I did hear a distinct whistle. Could have been anything. Scott, I said, Scott, are there birds out at night? He's like, no, they're not birds. I said, maybe it was a bat, but I don't know. It sounded like a grown ass man whistling. So
Did it sound like what you heard? So I was not there. I gotta say, I was not there. I was at home with the dog. But if you anyway, you'll get to know me later. Anyway, if you go back to about April of 2021 and look up the video where Dr. Anderson, the choral professor from Anderson University, starts analyzing the different vocalizations, he talks about a throat whistle. It is different than a lip whistle. And a throat whistle is something that very few humans are capable of. But anyway, Scott said the whistle that y'all heard that night was very similar to the whistle that he heard in conjunction with his own sighting.
The throat whistle could be compared to how an elk makes its noise.
Right.
Yeah. So, and also too, I want to add in on Joaquin's comment about never whistle at night, because I'm very adamant about that too. So I'm still teaching Anthony. I'm like, do not do that. Like, don't do that. So honestly, for when we first started living together, he would always forget.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
the dogs got out. I'm like, also Tessa, mom.
Yeah.
And she's like, don't whistle. So I would start whistling. I'd be
he's getting better.
But then she said it's not that big a deal. I was like, all right. So I keep whistling, but in my head still, I'm like.
Why is it, Addie, that you say don't whistle?
Oh, yeah.
So basically the way that I was taught is you're not supposed to whistle because there's things out at night that could hear a certain frequency, basically, spiritual things and stuff like that. You're not supposed to attract, and you could, as a Native American, you could consider Bigfoot to be spiritual as well. So you just have to be very careful of what you attract. And we're taught to respect the night and stuff like that. But with our ceremonies and stuff, they take place at night as well. So it's just a thing of you got to be very brave and strong and also just consider and respect the things that are out there.
So that's a great point, because this is something that I was getting back to earlier. I don't think you guys know my background, but I'm a sociologist, clinical social worker, and I'm very acting.
We lost him again. All right, Nikki, you got to carry the show. Squatch America.
The whole respect. Yeah, it's like we all went dark. The whole respect thing is really important to me, and we've been with the whole dumpster thing. And why aren't there pictures of the dumpsters and blah 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 blah. First of all, we talked, and Raptor asked, well, all you have to do is get trail cameras with night vision, point them towards the dumpsters. They'll catch Bigfoot. Big money for the reservation. Couple things. One, there is no big money in Bigfoot. We've been chasing that for 5 years. There ain't no big money. I had to get a job. Anyway. But
when you think about richness, you just always gain so many perspectives. So you're rich that way,
I know, right? We are wealthy in adventure. Let me tell you that. But here's a question from a tribal perspective, because I know the Yakama tribe, where I grew up, very close to the Yakama reservation, very acquainted with that tribe. The thought of taking a picture of Bigfoot, it's you don't even ask that question. That will get you kicked out. I mean, don't even go there. And so what is the dying? What is the Mescalero Apache? What do you say to, hey, I want to take a picture of Bigfoot? What would your people say about that?
So actually, I wanted to say in general, our culture is very sacred, and for a lot of our ceremonies, people, it depends on the family, but some people do not allow pictures around things that are considered sacred. And for some individuals, you would say that Bigfoot stories are sacred because, like I said, it could be tied back to a spiritual thing. So it really, like, now that we're becoming more modernized and stuff, people have become a little bit more lenient about sharing our culture in that way. But it's still it's very it all boils down to respect. If you want to take a picture of something, you have to have like respect of like asking the person, because like I said, it varies from which family that you're asking. And I actually recently for work I visited another reservation, which was the Via Pueblos up north, and they don't allow pictures, they don't allow recordings, sketchings like that. It's very, very sacred stuff. Like you can't even, yeah, it's all considered disrespectful if you just start, especially if you're like outside of the tribe. It's a very touchy thing. So
Yes.
same thing with the Yakima tribe. Like, yeah, I've heard a lot of most Native Americans, especially, I feel like it's mostly sacred, and they take that as a big deal. Like, you can't just go around taking pictures of things. And if you get caught, I feel like people would easily be like questioning you, like, what are you doing? What are your intentions? Stuff like that.
Well,
So.
and I just want to add real quick, like growing up, I would come visit the reservation, and they have this thing every year during the 4th of July called a feast, which is like a very sacred thing. They allow the public to go, but this would be an example where someone in the public may not know the sacredness of to not record certain things.
Yeah.
But it comes to me, it makes sense because like when you're at something that people hold very sacred and special, you should be paying your energy towards paying attention and like honoring it instead of documenting it and putting your attention towards something else other than that moment. So that's how it could be considered like disrespectful, like just in my eyes, looking at it from like a third party, like growing up, seeing it, that's just how I look at it, because your attention is supposed to be on this energy that's being formed in front of you with all this stuff happening. Like it's very ancient too for the feast because they're dancing around the fire and stuff like that. So you're not supposed to be like talking and like, oh, wow, this is crazy. Like you're kind of just supposed to be almost in awe and just like, if you're there to witness it, like just witness it and don't be. So it's just that's how I perceive it.
It's the important. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
well,
good.
it's the importance of being present.
Kyle.
Yes.
Being present and experiencing
Yes.
rather than experiencing it with your presence, rather than experiencing it through
the lens.
Stupid thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to address this here. They said the Canadian and the Plains Sioux have their powwows on YouTube. Like when I worked with the Miwok tribe, they had public powwows.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But then they had private ceremonies.
Mhm.
Two different things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big point.
Yeah.
The public,
Yeah.
just
Yeah. So like
if
when
a
I
white
worked with them,
person's telling you that they saw the real thing on YouTube, you better believe them.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I saw it on ABC News.
Yeah. So
White people will tell you when to be offended.
exactly.
So I was the archaeologist anthropologist for the Miwok tribe for 4 years, and when I first started, they made me kind of part of the tribe by I went through this whole ceremony, a sweat and a whole bit. I won't talk about the details of it, but they made me part of the tribe that way. And then later on, we had a powwow, and I got to carry the U.S. Army flag because I'm an Army vet in the powwow when we did a thing. And but that was all televised and videotaped and all that stuff.
You had to buy tickets to go.
Yeah.
Cool.
You'll have to come check out the Gathering of Nations here in New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico. They usually have it every April. That's like a huge event. People from all over the world. But also there has been kind of controversy on that. I don't really know what this upcoming year has in stake for that, but I don't know. Well, I guess we'll see. But it's an interesting event. Or even if you guys could actually come back and experience a feast here on the reservation
Mhm.
with Jody and all of us, and
Nikki, you could just cruise on up too.
yeah.
I told you we were going to wind up coming.
You
back.
I
notice
know,
I didn't
we
get
are.
that interview, Nikki, or I didn't get that invite. You went straight to you.
You're already gonna be there. Come on, Kai. You're,
Yeah.
you're closer than you are. You live here.
I
bro.
know.
You're a Thule brother now. Down.
Yeah, there we go.
And your wife
I'll put in my order now. I need gluten-free fry bread.
Gluten-free
Oh,
bread.
I don't think it's possible. I would come out like a freaking hockey puck. But
I can try and make it happen for you.
That's a cool thing
Okay.
too. Bro. That's a cool thing about the feast because it's open to the public.
okay.
Awesome. Yeah, and I've got a ton of sage. I can sage you before you can go in, so you'll be okay.
Oh, me? You need a good cleansing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say though, because I asked that question because one of the things before y'all came on at the very beginning, and we started talking about, like the difference, basically, why, when we're talking about the importance of respect and the importance of when we are doing research, it is so important that we don't take our worldview and our understanding of reality and project it on another culture, on someone else. Because, we all know what we know and we all don't know what we don't know. And it's really important that we are curious about what we don't know so that we can learn. And that's this whole process, so I should publish that. I got the
It's like a little patchy girl growing up. You're taught to sit and listen, and I was also taught you'll be given the opportunity when you'll know when the opportunity is there and it presents itself to speak up. And a part of learning is being quiet and listening to the people talk around you and soaking up their information. So that's like a big part of how my grandparents were, my parents, like even like my aunts and uncles, they're all like, be humble.
Yeah.
Tell them yours.
I got a story. Yeah. So
awesome.
my great grandmother was full blooded Nez Perce, and my grandmother was half, right? So one of the things when I was a kid growing up, and we grew up on the reservation too, though I'm only like an eighth, but we had a talking feather. When we were in a room and the adults were talking, there was a feather that got passed around. If you didn't have the feather, you didn't talk. And that's how I was raised.
And so there's a funny addendum to the story. I don't have a drop, not a drop. I am as non-native as you could possibly get, but I come from another tribe. I come from Jewish tribes, and the Jewish tribe, let me tell you what, you grow up Jewish, it is totally the opposite. Everybody just talks. Yeah. It's just blah, 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 and loud and brash. And so quiet Nez Perce man and loud, annoying Jewish girl get married, and we try to have a family conversation.
I love that.
Scared his children to death.
I love
and
that.
Now I've actually learned to be very quiet and observant, and it scares him. It's like we were driving somewhere the other day and he says, "Are we getting divorced? You haven't said anything for like an hour." And I went,
love that. That's so funny. Yeah, honestly, I'm like half and half. Like sometimes I'm in a mood where I'm just like very like quiet, and then there's times where I'm just like talk. But it just depends.
Cool.
You're talky out there in the darky.
I was scared. I was be keeping all those words inside my mouth. I was very proud of myself though, because I felt like I was really brave, and he helped me to be brave because he's like, "Babe, like it's gonna be okay." Like, and you guys were also just all. I'm like, I'm with professionals. I'll be okay.
I am not a professional.
One time we were on the campfire, and then everybody jumped. Well, it was actually Nikki. Nikki heard something, and she jumped out of her chair.
Oh, that's right. That
like,
time Nikki heard something, and I didn't hear it. I think I was talking, or we were next to the fire. It was kind of loud, and then Nikki jumps up and like turns around and looks in the woods. I thought, oh gosh, we're all dead.
And
Too
everyone
late.
except me and Scott went, and I'm like, yeah, I'm staying here. I'm staying
Brave dude
here.
who threw that rock, right?
Well, I will. Yeah, but you're missing. I heard something. And then when I heard it the second time, that's what made me jump up is that, oh, yeah, that is really something. So I went over there to walk to spotlight what I was seeing because it felt like something big coming down in the brush. I'm thinking deer, okay, or bear. I wasn't thinking Bigfoot at the time, but I'm walking and I have bear spray in my hand, and then Kyle just shoots past me straight up straight up into the darkness. And I'm like, Kyle, do you have a bear spray with you? No.
He just
Can I throw a rock?
He's got a mean growl in it.
And Scott told me I could throw a rock, so I did. I tried to be a big brave boy. But I knew, Nikki, you moved so quick out of your chair after, kind of being, your shins were hurting from the ascent up Mount Everest that I knew if a Squatch or a bear or a cougar would jump out, I could just run behind you and you would protect me. So I was cool with it.
All I could
think Kaiju Ninja, the bait was actually all three of us because I don't know if you've seen the film The Lost World Jurassic Park, 1997. Ian Malcolm, they have a tree fort way up in the air above the T-Rexes, and they call it the High Hide. So Scott rolls into town, pops this tent up 8-9 feet off the ground. All us dumb sweaties are sitting there looking up at it, jaws agape, and we got our little pickups, and then we're like, wow, we're the bait. But it made Nikki and I feel really good when Ant and Addie rolled up in their tiny SUV and popped a tent up. And I thought, wow, I'm actually going to make it till tomorrow to see because they're the ones going to get attacked and I'll be safe.
Well, I was just waiting on that rock to hit our tent. Since you threw a rock, I'm like, if we catch a rock tonight and something happens, I'm blaming it on Kyle.
We're all blaming Kyle.
Yeah, and I said, Nikki, if a Squatch throws a rock at your truck, because she was on the outside where I had charged up the hill, like a man, might I add.
Okay.
If her rig would have got hit by a rock, I said, Nikki, I'll help pay for it. Because this would be a pretty cool story that we can relate on Squatch America Wednesday night.
Okay.
So it was all about the showmanship.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm no Professor Algernon, but I do got my own. I got my own tricks up my sleeve.
You are digging into our dark and morbid past.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Hey Scott, I got a question that I just got reminded of from talking earlier. You remember how we were like chit-chatting around the fire? And I was just thinking like, dang, there's so many ways people camp. Imagine if you went there by yourself and you just sat in the quiet. But you were saying something about like, it's a good setting, like to be having a good time because it's like almost like we're vulnerable to like a Bigfoot creeping in on us. I don't know. What's the mentality behind that you have in your head?
So,
yeah,
the thing take that, Scott, you got it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think if you make yourself a curiosity, like most of the sightings that people have, they're just camping. If you're out in the woods in the camo, you're never going to sneak up on a Squatch. Trust me, you're in their house, So just us camping, sitting around a campfire, being people. Like when I had my sighting, I was out with a gentleman. We weren't kind of sneaking through the woods or anything. We were just walking and talking. And that's kind of my thing is make yourself a curiosity and they'll come check you out. You're TV to Bigfoot, man. You're the next, you're like a fun show to watch. And that's what you're trying to make yourself be.
Hey, I like the plot twist that Kaiju Ninja said the rock was thrown by a tree octopus.
There we go.
I'm really going to have nightmares now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's great.
Cthulhu just lurking
So-
on the outside.
Yeah, that's it.
I want to say I don't know Jay or Grasshopper or any of you, and you guys must be Nikki's people, and that's fine. We want you to be our people too, because we can all share people, because we're all the same people. But you know what? Don't give up the Bigfoot research. I think it's really important though that we remember why we're doing this. We're not honestly, we don't do this to prove it to anyone. It's got to be a labor of love. I mean, it really does. Do you, boo.
Mhm.
But don't let the haters get you down. Don't let the naysayers and the dumbasses and all that. It's just, it's got to light. I never, for the love of God, I never thought that Bigfoot would light my soul up. But it does, and
Oh, speaking of which, I have a story about that too. But
what, lighting up my soul?
no.
Don't tell that story. That's not for public.
No, no. The other.
That's on Squatch America After Dark.
No, it just something just dinged at me. We were talking about Bigfoot and spirituality.
I would totally
and
get
stuff.
naked and dance around a fire. Don't tempt me, boy.
Oh, yeah, she's scary like that. But
she's scary like that.
I got no shame. Got no shame.
Have you seen the proposal?
Yeah.
no.
Do you know which part I'm talking about, Nikki?
Yeah.
The old lady's going around the campfire.
She's
Yeah.
like, no, that's hilarious. I'll have to send you guys the clip of it.
So okay, so this reminds me of two stories. My grandmother, when we had the powwows at the Nez Perce, she was known as the whipping woman. I don't know if that's a thing in the Apaches, but her job was to, when they had the couples dances at the powwow, her job was to take a whip, and if a boy got too close to the girl or got too fresh, she would smack him. But anyway, that was her job. But no, we were talking about earlier with the Sasquatch being a spiritual being to a lot of the native tribes. I actually was doing a Bigfoot event in Pocatello, Idaho, where the Blackfoot and the Shoshone tribes are. And I had a Shoshone elder. I did my talk, and he came back. He came to our booth later and sat down and talked with me for quite some time. And we were talking about.
It was not a happy talk.
Yeah. He was pointing out the fact that Bigfoot had stole my soul, and that I need to back off on it, because I was going to go down a rabbit trail I didn't want to go. It was very interesting to me, but
that was before we went full time. We had no idea it was going to go full time.
Yeah.
Oh,
hey guys, so I'm sorry to interrupt, but we only had a little bit of time to talk, but we do want to still stay live on the show. My kids just got home, so
oh yeah. All right. So thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. In fact, we usually do an hour show. We've done a 2-hour show tonight.
So we're going to be saying goodnight.
So we're
here in
gonna
a
be
few
saying
minutes.
goodnight,
I'm like getting hangry here.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
So thanks.
So
let's here's our crew.
Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Oh, there's the littles.
Yeah, good night.
Yeah.
You guys will get to meet them soon.
Okay.
All
All right.
right.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
All right.
Night.
Good night. Okay, there you go.
Oh, what a
So
lively
that was-
bunch, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in love with all of them. So this comes from Kaiju. Yeah, we're getting ready to close up, but what states and places do we want to research that we haven't had the chance to? Everywhere in the Midwest.
Yeah.
We have not covered the Midwest. We are headed to Wisconsin this spring, and so hopefully we'll be able to do stuff up in that area. I would really love to spend more time in the Dakotas, where we technically live.
Yeah.
Like in the
And
Black
we're going to
Hills.
be spending a month in Tennessee too this year. So
Yeah. So
Tennessee, nice.
yeah.
Smoky Mountain Bigfoot.
yeah.
And then nothing disparaging against the ladies. Okay.
Ooh.
Does our menstrual cycle have something to do with Bigfoot sightings? I have never heard that question.
Well, actually,
Maybe.
yeah. Yeah,
I'm not going
quite
to
possible.
touch that one. So
Yeah, me
Well,
either.
so Nikki, we're both women. We can touch that. I would think that it depends on how connected with the natural cycle a woman is. Most of us who grew up in urban areas are not connected with the moon anymore, and so our cycles don't necessarily mirror the moon. But I think in a more indigenous situation where, because women's cycles in the most natural setting follow the moon cycles, absolutely, and we've had more encounters during a full moon, um, and 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 I was going to say, in a full moon, a woman generally would be just off her cycle.
Mhm.
The dark of the moon, the new moon, is when a woman would be in seclusion.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, but that's really hard to say. Pheromones.
Grasshopper.
Yeah, to do it more with our pheromones and our
Absolutely.
different levels of smell.
I wonder what he would do with a woman that smells like onions.
Yummy.
If you were not there, if you were not in the show at the beginning, please don't ask.
And men got that musk. And we heard a story about, what was that at the Bigfoot town hall? He said, I didn't know the intentions of that lady Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He was about to end up a forest bride himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we did get one of those stories.
That's my favorite Bigfooter.
But you hear researchers and investigators who want to take women out with them because they seem to have more activity when there is a woman in the group.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, so the she squatchers. She squatchers now. Stop, just don't. Okay? The she squatchers go out because generally it is commonly understood that women have an easier spiritual connection with everything than men do. So
I don't know.
And they remote view them. So there's that.
Yeah, there's that too.
There is that. So
I love them. I love those gals. I've met them in person, and they're a great group of gals. Remember, you don't have to. Everybody's on their own path, you know.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They're successful, and they're running with it, and that's great, you know. And I'm an evidence skeptic. It's harder to convince me of evidence than anybody you'll ever find out there. But
so
that doesn't mean
Raptor.
It's cool. I think it's really cool, some of these photos and some stuff like that. But I'm a little harder to convince. You know?
Yeah, I have a little saying. Yeah.
Right? I had to start going out myself to see if I can get my own experience.
Exactly.
So
yeah. Yeah, I have a little saying. There's a lot of stuff I see that's very interesting, but not conclusive. You know, that's my call on that.
Well, and so actually, this is Joaquin is saying goodnight. He says, Scott, honored to have served with you. Until I see y'all again, please take care of yourselves when you squatching and in life. Well, I don't know when we're headed back to New Mexico. It could be a little while because we've got next year taken up with the Midwest and New England, knocking on wood. But who knows, you know. I will say when we got to New Mexico, I was drawn to New Mexico because of this little guy, my little Cocopelli, who's a damn trickster. I did some studying on Cocopelli. I said, okay, I'm going into his turf. And so the reason that we came here did not turn out to be the reason that we are here.
Yeah.
And so I am very grateful for our time in New Mexico, even though it was nothing like we anticipated. But it is time for us to say goodnight. And please, those of you in this area, we could have like Squatch America groups and a Squatch America declaration and dues and
just don't make me sign an NDA.
No.
Oh, don't even say that. I will tell you another day why I hate that phrase.
Yeah. Yes.
But anyway, so we want to thank Nikki and just Kyle for coming on board with us tonight. It was awesome. This is one of the funnest evenings
Yeah,
that we
it
have
has
had
in a long
in a
time.
very long time. And so when it's warmer and it's not dipping into the 40s at night, I am much more likely to join you for a camp out. The height of summer is my golden time where it's just too freaking cold for me.
Yeah.
So with that, I just want to we want to remind everyone that at Squatch America, our job is to investigate the unexplained.
Not to explain the uninvestigated.
So until next week, please like, subscribe, share this video. He will be linking all sorts of videos to the show notes. And until next week, you keep watching.
And we'll keep squatching.
Now, go out and find Bigfoot. Bye.
Bye.
I wish I had
That damn Sasquatch.
Squatch America,